The gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Fleming, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I represent the 4th District of Louisiana. I want to lay the foundation for my question here, and it revolves around the Deep Horizon incident. First, we had the spill, then we had a moratorium, despite the fact that the President's hand-picked counsel recommended against it. Then we had a de facto moratorium. And then we had a contempt of court as a result of that, and I do want to quote the judge, Judge Fleming, on that. He says the government continually reaffirmed its intention and resolve to restore the moratorium. It even notified operators that though a preliminary injunction had issued, they could quickly expect a new moratorium. He went on to say that there was clear and convincing evidence of the government's contempt of this court's preliminary injunction. It's kind of interesting because I know a lot of times, and you've testified before us before, that you use following the law and court orders as a defense of your position, but it appears to me, and I'll let you respond in a minute, that there's often selective enforcement. Finally, after the contempt was issued, we got one token permit. Now here's what the results have been so far. Loss of 20% of our deep water rigs. We've got 33 shallow water rigs that are stacked, which was not even part of the incident to begin with. Seahawk Drilling, a major player, has now filed bankruptcy. And we have thousands of good jobs now of very fine Louisiana citizens that have been lost. But the impact is worse than that. In a time when we're not doing anything in ANWR, at a time when hydrofracking is under attack, we've got an estimate from the American Petroleum Institute that as much as 680,000 barrels of oil equivalent Gulf production a day could be at risk in 2019. That is to say, if we don't get back to drilling in the deep water, we're going to find ourselves by 2019 the equivalent of 12% of the total U.S. current production being lost. So the impact is very significant, and we well can't really, in a time of a terrible economy and gas prices going up very quickly, we well cannot really, I think, afford this. And then finally, those 6 rigs that have left the area now, they've gone to countries like Brazil and Egypt, where the regulations and the oversight are much less than they are here. So my question is this: considering all of those points, isn't this really an overall policy by the administration to allow gas prices to go up, to allow energy prices, fossil fuels to go up, by constricting fossil fuel production in order to allow alternative fuels, which are not really cutting it in the marketplace, to allow those prices to come in parity and become more competitive? And we have had, in fact, some testimony to suggest that. And in fact, Stephen Chu, Obama's energy secretary, said that a gradual increase in gasoline taxes could coax customers into dumping their gas guzzlers and finding homes closer to where they work, suggesting that it could be actually a positive thing to see gas prices go up. So is this, sir, really an attempt in order to drive the prices up so alternative fuels will be more competitive?
Congressman Fleming, with all due respect, I disagree with your characterization and your foundation. And the fact of the matter is that we have moved forward with drilling both onshore and offshore. We have issued 37 shallow water permits. Indeed, your numbers are wrong relative to what's happening with rig activity in the Gulf of Mexico. In 2009, there were 116 rigs in the Gulf of Mexico. In 2010, February, 120. In February 2011, it's 126. You should ask the question, why is the number of rigs going up in the Gulf of Mexico? And the fact of the matter is that people are aware, we are aware at the Department of Interior, this Congress is aware, that there is significant oil and gas resources within the Gulf of Mexico. And it's a policy of this administration to explore and to develop that oil and gas as we have been doing over the last several years.
Well, of course, we can quibble over the numbers, but the point is, at least from what we're seeing there, perhaps there are other things that organically were increasing underneath, But we're definitely seeing, at least off the coast of Louisiana, a substantial decrease in new rig activity and without any real justification. With that, I yield back, sir.
Time the gentleman
The
has
statistics,
expired.
Mr. Congressman, are absolutely wrong. I mean, when you look at the production within the Gulf of Mexico, even in the midst of the national crisis of the Deepwater Horizon, the production has remained at an all-time high, and we expect that it will continue as we bring new production online.
This will clearly be a matter that will be pursued, I am sure. The gentleman